In this video, we're gonna make a game over for our game. It's a way so you actually lose. Let's get started. Right now, the only way to find out if we lose or not is by the script on our player collision. But it's not an optimal way or the efficient way to do this for the game over. That's why we have to make a game manager to manage the game over stuff. If like if we collide with something or fall off the ground. Let's create one by going to the hierarchy, right click, create an empty game object, rename it to game manager and drag it to the top, and inside it we're gonna add a component. Let's call it game manager, create, and this script will be responsible for the game over stuff inside it. The first thing we do is gonna delete the two function and we'll write public void game over, and inside it we're gonna write debug dot log, and we're gonna name game over. So we hit save, we go back to Unity, and now we have a code that have a message could display on the console, but we need a way to show the message on the console. And from the previous video we used to link our code or script to the game object or to something to trigger the code. For example, if we hit our player collision, and we can see that we link our player movement script by saying public player movement and name it player move, and we check enable as false, but we can change this to debug.log and show our message. And right now we need to do the same thing for our game manager code, and we can do the same thing right now. We can write public game manager and link it under the player move and drag and drop from the Unity, but we need more efficient way or something less errors inside it, because if we do this right now and we need the player not only game overing at the collision, we want the player not only get a game over from a collision but also when we fall off the ground. And for that, if we do public, and maybe we can lose the reference because it's just a drag and drop. So for our more optimal way, we could write find game object of type, and we can write game manager script and we put parentheses. This technique or this code line is very similar to get component. If we want to search for a specific component inside a game object, we can write get component code. But in find object of type, it's the same thing, but instead of searching inside a game object, it's search for game objects or types. And that's how we can link our script, the game manager, inside player collision without any drag and drop or lose track of the script if we change maybe the player or delete the player from our hierarchy. So control S to save it, and we can also press dot and we will show all the function inside our game manager script. And if we write game over, it shows here, and we can choose it because it shows here because inside the game manager script we have defined our function as a public, so we can access it from anywhere in other scripts. So if we save this and go back to Unity, press play, test the code if it's work or not, and we hit an obstacle and check console, says game over. So the code is working perfectly fine because instead of drag and drop and setting the script as public so we can reference it, we can now link it inside our code. And this is more efficient way so we don't get errors if we change the game objects inside the hierarchy or deleted one or something like that. And now we have achieved the game over message inside the console. We won't also display it when the player is fall off the ground. So for doing that, we have to go to our player movement script, open it inside the Visual Studio, and down under we're gonna say if rb.position.y is less than -2. We open the curly brackets. So why I wrote -2 exactly, if we go back to Unity and we check our position inside transform, we can see our player is now 0.95 on the y-axis. And if the player drop down, this value will get in the negative way. As you can see, you can maybe put it in negative 95, maybe negative 0.63, negative 1. It will all work, but I chose, negative 2, so I can, avoid any error, or maybe give a little bit of time for the player to just fall off. And inside the curly brackets, we can write the same thing as we wrote inside the player collision is find object of type. We can say game manager script, and we can access our game over function. Just that's it. And we can test this out. Press play. And if we fall off the edge, as you can see, it's game over, but it's repeating it many times. And that's because if we head back to our code, it's because it's fixed update, and this code will run multiple times per second, because the fixed update or update functions also is called, as written right here, update is called once per frame. So depending on your computer performance, maybe it will run more frames per second, and on normal computer maybe the 1 second is 60 frame. So your computer maybe is powerful and running 120 frames per second, so this code will run 120 times per second. That's why in the console we see multiple messages displaying or showing up. And to fix that, we will go to the game manager script and we create bool called game is over, and we set when we set it default to false, and right here above the debug.log we will say game is over, and we will equal it to true. And above it we will write if statement and says game is over equal false. Then it will run this code. So save this and give it a test. Go back to Unity and press play. Right now we're falling off the edge, and in the console we see game over only displaying once. So the only thing we need to do right now is restarting our game. So under the debug we will write restart as a function, and showing us an error right now and we can copy this, go down under, and we will write void restart and open curly brackets. So now this is our function to restart, and inside our game over function it will call the restart function. And for restarting our scene in Unity, we go up here and we write using Unity engine.scene management, and we go back inside our function restart and write code and scene management, and we have to write scene management every time we need to restart the scene or reload it or do anything with the scene. And we'll write scene manager dot, and we can see right now we have many functions inside our scene manager, but we need one function right now that we will use called load scene. And inside the curly brackets we can write down the name of our scene. And how we get the name of our scene is go back to the project window inside Unity and go to scenes, and our scene name is simple sample scene, so we can control C to copy the name of this, go back to the Visual Studio and write it down inside, and just semicolon, control S to save it, and that's it. That's all we have to do. This is only will restart the current scene. Let's say we have multiple let's say we have a game with multiple levels inside it, so this code will not work. So instead we will write scene manager dot get active. We open parentheses, and after this we will write dot name. So right now the left side without or outside the first parentheses, it says scene manager dot load scene, so it will load a scene, but which scene it will load? So inside the parentheses we wrote scene manager dot get active scene, so it will load the active scene right now that we are using, and we access dot name, so we'll get the name of the active scene right now and transfer it to the left side of our code, so the load scene of the scene manager, and will load the active scene right now that we are playing. So it doesn't matter if it's level 1, 2, 3, or maybe 10, it will only get the name of the current scene that you were playing with or playing in it. If you like the video so far, please leave a like and subscribe. It's very much appreciated. So we can save it right now and go back to Unity and give it a test. If we press play, as you can see, it's restarting or reloading very fast. But maybe some of you will have a problem with the lighting. So go to Window, Rendering, Lighting Setting, and we'll open this window for you. And if you go right now, very at the end, it's auto generate light. So if you have this box checked, maybe you will have a problem with the lights. It will show a little bit different, or something wrong with it. So I suggest you remove the checkbox and click on the generate lighting button right here, and it will say auto generate lighting off, and if you press this button it will generate light for you. Wait for it till it ends, it will be right here, and then you can try the game and it will show just like mine, nothing wrong with it. And we've solved the first problem with the lighting. Maybe some of you have it, and if not, we're going to the second problem right now. It's with the fast reloading or restarting. So if we head back to our code, and we can say change this in write invoke, open the parentheses, and say inside double quotation restart, and then we will write 2f and close it with a semicolon. What this code mean, it will call this function restart, but it will call it after 2 seconds. It will call it after 2 seconds. It will give a little bit of delay between calling the function and the fast reloading. So if we want to test it right now, we can save it, go back to Unity, press play, and see, we have a little bit of delay, and then the scene is reloaded. And if you want to be more professional at it, you can write above here, float speed reload restart speed and equal to 2f. Close this, and instead if we're writing 2 seconds right here, we can write restart speed. And if we change this to public, I'm sorry, and save it, we can change the speed of our game right here from the inspector. If we click on the game manager, we can see it right here, and we can change the speed of the restart scene or the reload scene from right here and easily. And always don't forget to save your scene after you finish. And the last thing right here to show you is we go to file, build setting, and right now, and right here you can see our scenes. So this is our scene, sample scene, and there is a number, it's 0, and there is check right here. So if you have many or multiple levels inside your game, you need to drag drag them from here to here, and this number will show the sequence that we're playing on. So maybe if you have a scene for the main menu, it will be scene 0. It's the first thing we will show you when the player will play the game. And the second scene, or number 1, and this is called build index, the number 1 scene will be level 1, and level 2 will be number 2, and so on and so on. This pretty much it will be the end of our video. I hope you enjoyed it. I very much appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and I apologize for the delay of this video. I had some problems, but don't forget like and subscribe. Links in the description for our social media and Patreon account. I hope you enjoy.